Our constitutional rights are being eroded every day. They don't just happen in one fell swoop. Little by little, we lose what we have that is a privilege that we take for granted, thinking that they'll always be there. No, they won't. They will not always be there. And this vote is a primary example of just that. So as the congressman points out, the House passes the FISA Section 702 renewal yesterday. I voted no. This was a uniparty vote in favor of unchecked government surveillance without adequate warrants of accountability. Jen has been on record since 2001 saying that the Patriot Act was the end of our Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments. This just reinforces that. Your right to privacy does not exist anymore. I know people think they have a right to privacy, but the fact of the matter is, as long as you have one of these, somebody's watching you. Somebody's watching you. And you have no privacy. And as he has pointed out, this was done along bipartisan lines. And I know people will say, well, look, a lot more Democrats voted against it than the Republicans did. The Democrats voted for it when they were in power. Again, good guy, bad guy. I actually give credit to the villains that are willing to be hated when they are going to just vote how they're going to vote. Now, in some cases, they do it because that's what they're instructed to do. Now, there is a pretty detailed explanation for what this is all about. And of all the people to explain it, it's actually Marjorie Taylor Greene. Colin, if you would, please. The House was going to pass a 45-day extension of FISA 702, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, by voice without voting. And Thomas Massie courageously forced a debate and demanded a recorded vote. Jim Jordan, who has fought for warrants for FISA for years, ironically led the debate against warrants and urged a yes vote for a clean extension without warrants. Yeah, Margie, that's because Jim Jordan is bought and paid for by corporate special interests, just like Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Keep that in mind. Which is what Trump is demanding even after FISA was used against him by the Democrats to spy on him in his campaign. They absolutely did. Trump literally says giving up your rights and just pass it, and Jordan won't go against Trump, even though he wants warrant requirements. Yeah, wanting and doing are two different things. Chip Roy, Warren Davidson, and Keith Self joined Thomas Massie and made strong cases as to why Congress must add warrant requirements to FISA 702, and why a central bank digital currency must be banned, and how both are powerful tools of control and surveillance in violation of your privacy and liberties. And Jamie Raskin gave compelling arguments as to why bipartisanship is needed in the House to make reforms to FISA 702. Yet after doing so, he still voted yes, of course, to a clean 45-day extension of FISA 702 without warrant requirements, which makes no sense. Why demand change and then literally vote for what you just argued against? However, never forget, under Biden and Democrats, FISA 702 was used to spy on hundreds of thousands of Americans. Again, this is total bipartisanship, and I am definitely with you, Margie. Also, the Republican-controlled Senate and its leader, John Thune, will not vote for a ban on central bank digital currency, saying it's dead on arrival in the Senate, and neither will the Dems. To sum it up, Americans are literally losing our precious privacy and freedoms right now under Trump and Republicans, yet Dems are no better and have made no major policy changes that cause them to lose in 2024. And again, you're wrong in this respect. Once the Patriot Act was passed, this was the end. It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when. It wasn't going to happen overnight, but little by little over time, this is what you've got. They are only winning because Trump and Republicans have betrayed the most important campaign promises. 111 members of Congress voted nay to the 45-day FISA 702 extension without warrant requirements for Americans so that your government can spy on you. Some voted no in a partisan manner and because they hate Trump, and some voted no because they truly want change. Either way, those who voted no should be recognized. Out of 111, only 26 Republicans bravely voted no. Here is the list of GOP no's, and a picture is a full list of both D's and R's and who voted no. Republican no votes. Begish, again, we don't have to read the names. We know the ones who are actually there for the right reasons, and very seldom are there that many. The only person on this list that I can honestly say has some decent chops in the GOP House would be Tim Burchett, who is in Tennessee. Thomas Massie, of course, is the other one. The rest of them, they're all corporate bought and paid for. They do what they're told, and that's that. But in some cases, you can vote to make it look good. But after all this, the House passed the clean 45-day extension of FISA 702. After years of Trump and Republicans campaigning and demanding on Fox News that warrant requirements must be added to FISA, nothing changed. The promises they made to you are broken. The only thing that matters is voting records. None of their words. Words are meaningless puffs of air. If your rep is not on this list who voted no, then you should tell them you're withdrawing your support and not voting for them. Guess what, Marjorie? That doesn't mean shit anymore because they don't rely on anybody to get their votes. That's the problem. At all. Don't rely on it at all. If your representative is not, it doesn't matter anymore whether you vote Democrat or Republican behind the vial. They are one and the same. Lastly, to Representative Thomas Massie, he is a giant among men in Congress and fights for you harder than the entire House and Senate combined. Couldn't agree more. So why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because we just cannot seem to get away from the poodle in South Florida. And credit where credit is due, Drop Site News has been doing a really good job. I want to make sure I get this gentleman's name. I want to give him credit because he's been working with Ryan Grimm and has been doing a really good job. He confronted Wasserman Schultz, and I want to make sure that he is given proper credit for going up and getting her to, remove her mask because that's what she does best. Let's see. So this is from, it really is not easy to find. Julian Andreoni. He's been doing a lot of good work lately. Shout out to you, Adrian. You're kicking ass and taking names, so I appreciate you, pal. Here he is confronting the poodle.
First woman. Hi. You were one of the 42 Democrats yesterday to vote in favor of that FISA bill. And you've also this cycle taken contributions from Oracle and Northrop Grumman. I just wanted to know if that plays any role in those sorts of decisions, especially given they would stand to benefit.
No, it's a ridiculous question.
No, actually, you're just a ridiculous person because you don't like the fact that you even have to talk to the plebs. You see, this is the thing that people need to understand about this lady, is that she truly believes that she's above reproach. She feels that she is so above reproach, and we're going to get to the article in a minute. Wasserman Schultz is not stepping away from Congress. She fully intends to run regardless of how the district lines get drawn. And if that means that she has to bump somebody out of their spot, then that's what she intends to do. But this is going to be very interesting because it turns out that the new lines that are being drawn, Wasserman Schultz is not going to have her hometown of or I wouldn't say home, that's not where she's from. She's a carpetbagger from Long Island. But where she's been living, which is in Weston, Florida, that is no longer in the district that she has been representing. So she's going to have to carpetbag into another district, and she fully intends to do it. Now, what district is the most likely one that she's going to find her way into? The new district that's been carved basically along A1A from Delray Beach down to Miami Beach. That's the one that makes the most sense. She is going to coordinate with, Jen will love this, Zio Pussy Mouskowitz. They are not going to cross each other. He'll pick a district, she'll pick a district, and that'll be that. Will they both save themselves? Who knows? Same is going to be true for Frederica Wilson and what's going to happen with her. Same with Lois Frankel. Who the hell knows how they're going to do this? But if there's one thing we know with Wasserman Schultz, she will step over everybody in order to protect the fiefdom that she believes she's still entitled to. But she's going to have to earn it now. And so whoever she's going to be running against, I don't care who it is, that's the person that's going to get backed. And we will make sure of it.
None at all?
Have a nice day.
Have you had any conversations with those lobbies or industries?
No.
Okay, thank you.
She doesn't need to have them. You know, if there's one thing I could say wholeheartedly about Wasserman Schultz when she says, have you had conversations with them? I believe her. I'm sure she hasn't. She doesn't need to have them because they know she plays ball. She plays ball. She has a 1,000, She has 1,000% batting average when it comes to corporate special interests since she's been in Congress for over 20 years. You never have to question where she stands. You never have to sit down with her, ever, to ask her, are you in favor of what the corporate position is? No, never. And so why is this a big deal? Well, One of the things about living in South Florida that Jen and I unfortunately had to experience is knowing that while it's not relevant in the grand scheme of things, like in terms of, let's say, a statewide race, national implication, the South Florida Sun Sentinel is still the paper of record, digital paper of record, that still has a pretty sizable impact because of all the old Jewish biddies that live down there and read it on the regular. And so one of the people that still writes for them, who's a dinosaur in his own respect, it is unfortunate, but again, these guys, they just don't leave. Just like she doesn't leave office, these guys don't leave from doing corporate special interest propaganda. And in this case, the gentleman's name is Steve Busquet, or Busquete, however he wants to pronounce it. He's a little Frenchy. And smash that like button if you haven't already, guys. But for a familiar Democrat, a new district is nothing new. So here comes a nice fluff job for Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Redistricting have a very long history together. Of course they do. She's been in office for 34 years in South Florida. You would think that after a while, yeah, she's probably going to be dealing with some type of redistricting. It happens every 10 years due to census, but you would know that, wouldn't you, Mr. Biscuit?
I have a lot of experience with it, saying it with the insanity of redistricting, of course you would say.
As she seeks a 12th term in Congress, she's the most widely known and longest serving member targeted by the partisan gerrymander that Governor DeSantis pushed through the legislature at the behest of President Trump, because it's all Trump's fault now. Yeah, of course. If there is to be a blue wave in 2026, oh, the blue wave, a true test will be in Broward, where she has held office continuously for 34 years. Yeah, wear it as a badge of honor too, am I right? In both Tallahassee and Washington, but could be forced to run in a DeSantis-drawn district that Trump carried easily. DeSantis wants to flip 4 seats to the GOP to keep Trump's tenuous Republican majority on Capitol Hill. It is a direct violation of the Florida Constitution's voter-approved ban on drawing districts with the intent to favor or disfavor of political party or incumbent. This is coming from somebody who, keep in mind, and yes, that's Mr. Biscuit, Mr. almost 80 years old of him, because they just can't leave. This is what they do forever and a day. DeSantis has targeted the Democrats for defeat by lumping parts of Deep Blue Broward with red pockets in adjoining counties that have nothing in common with cities such as Plantation, Sunrise, and Weston. So there you go. Right off the bat, they are telling you that the rural people, they're not as sophisticated as us carpetbagging liberals in Central and South Broward by Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood. No, we are the more sophisticated types. We don't need to deal with the people that are living in places like Collier and Monroe County because, fuck them. Am I right? This has always been one of the most telling aspects of why this system is broken and why neoliberalism has destroyed this country. They don't want voters who are not part of the educated liberal class. They don't want voters who stay away from the government establishment, the established order, if you will, who question whether what is being fed to us is right. But little by little, the erosion of institutions that in some ways were very good for a long time, but then they got corrupt and shiftless, and now they're falling apart. And this is another example of that. So when he talks about we are entitled to this region, no, you're not. You're not entitled to anything. In fact, I don't really give a damn about gerrymandering anymore when it comes to any elections, because we all know that the people that are elected do not serve the people. They serve corporate special interests. In fact, you have a better chance of getting something done if you win statewide than you do ever winning in districts that are gerrymandered. They don't want any districts to be competitive. They want every district to be gerrymandered. Why? Because they don't want to be challenged by the people. They don't want to have to fight for this. They want to get in there and they want to live that life. That's all that matters, and Wasserman Schultz is living, breathing proof of it. Some pleb from Drop Site News walks up to her on the steps of Capitol Hill, the people's house, and asks her, hey, listen, we saw that you were one of a quarter Democrats that decided to break away and vote in favor of more government intrusion against constitutional rights. Would you care to comment on why you did that? Is it possible that because you are knee deep in bed with the very industries within the military industrial complex that want this bill through, that maybe your decision that you made was influenced by that? No. How dare you ask such a ridiculous question? We ask these questions because in the end, we have the government we have because we have the people we have that don't feel the need to get involved. Do politics, or politics will do you. You decide. 2 of those 4 redrawn districts are in Broward. One is sprawling new 22nd, which stretches from Davie on the east to Marco Island near Naples on the west, and north to Bahaki, a sugarcane town on the rim of Lake Okeechobee. More than 100 miles wide, it runs across the Everglades. It looks bizarre. Were you complaining like this when Alcee Hastings had that size of a district that he was controlling for 30 years? Did you say anything about that? I doubt it. I doubt it. But because you might lose a seat now it's a problem. You see, guys, hyperpartisanship never ends. It just continues in all of its glorious forms. It's the 5th congressional district Wasserman Schultz will have to run in since she first won in 2004. Congressional districts are supposed to unite areas of common interest. Again, that is just what you think. That is not what congressional districts are supposed to be at all. In fact, as crazy as it may sound to you, Busquet, what congressional districts are actually supposed to be are areas, are districts that are supposed to represent regions, areas, not common interests, which is how you get these squiggly line districts that fit your political ideology. That is not what they are supposed to be. Broward County should be a district. Palm Beach County should be a district. Miami-Dade County should be probably a couple of districts. See, that's the way it should be. But that's not what you believe. What you believe is that it's a problem now because it's actually fucking with your fiefdom that you've created in Broward County for the past generation. That's how long this has been going on. That's why this old codger of an old man wants to come in here and say, you stupid kids don't know what the hell you're talking about. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a great representative because she allows me to continue to have a job. That's what it's about. And he loves Debbie. You want to talk about somebody who loves Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Steve Busquet's one of those guys. And he's in media. And he is in media that actually helps keep her where she is. They do. Say what you want. The Sun Sentinel still has power with the old voter, especially the old Jewish voter. They still have that power. So if you can scroll down, Colin. But if the goal was to scare Wasserman Schultz into retiring, so far it's not working. I could tell you that I am running for re-election. Good. I hope you do. I want to see you have to do the walk of shame. You got to do it once. Wasserman Schultz has to do the walk of shame once. And the reason she's running is because she's got nothing else to do. That's the bottom line. Legal battles raged on for months in the state and federal courts. Judges overruled. Huge growth gave Florida 3 new seats in Congress in '92. They were oddly shaped to follow racially segregated housing patterns, but Black voters in Florida had a voice in Washington for the first time since Reconstruction. Yeah. There's always a justification behind the crime. The final map wasn't set till mid-July. In late August, Hurricane Andrew, blah, 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 blah. I think what we have here is basically an explanation as to why there is a defense for somebody who has been in office for 34 years. And there is no discussion whatsoever. 34 years that she has been in elected office in Broward County. And there isn't even a hint in this article that maybe she should step away. Maybe it's time for her to go. Now, I know it's hard for people to believe looking at this soulless person who looks like she's melting every day. Believe it or not, she is not even 60 years old. I mean, that's amazing. But as we have pointed out time and again, what you project on the inside will come out on the outside. She is a very unhappy troll of a human. And she truly has been harboring some level of resentment for a very long time for reasons that I don't know. And she's not going to leave. And that's good. So now we have to make sure that whoever she's running against, because this is not going to be her district, she is going to have to go out and get votes. Now, what she's relying on, this is what she's relying on. I just want everybody to understand this. If anybody ever wondered who is actually the leader of the Democratic Party in the state of Florida, this is the person. She runs the party. So what she's going to do is she's going to move in on one of those districts and is going to expect the corporate infrastructure to back her up. And whoever has to get knocked off, whether it's Frederica, whether it's Moskowitz, whether it's Frankel, it doesn't matter. It's my territory. I get to stay here. It's like Hillary Clinton. They're two peas in a pot. My turn. I'm next. That's how she sees it. And that's what she's expecting. Well, congratulations, Democrats. You really fucked up with what you pulled in Virginia. Now you're going to see it come back to you even harder than you could possibly imagine. And she will lose. That walk of shame is coming. But don't worry, there's a nice, cushy, pro-Israel lobby job that will be lining up for her more than likely, although Jen doesn't actually think so. She thinks that she is so detestable that even a very pro-Israel lobby group is probably not going to want to take her on because she's just so negative to the brand. May that be the case.